Andrew Rager from the Bulwark is here on the Final Five to talk about the big vote. And I want to ask you first things first. There was a lot of drama. There was this 8-hour record-breaking speech by Hakeem Jeffries. Was this ever in doubt?
Well, it depends who you ask, right? Because I mean, all yesterday, there was sort of this will they or won't they talk about the House of Representatives. There were a lot of people in the House who were unhappy with a lot of the changes the Senate had made, who were asking for more time, asking for the ability to tweak different parts of the bill. But ultimately, one of these houses was just going to have to swallow what the other one gave them. And Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump basically said, it's the House. It's the House that has to swallow what the Senate has given them. We want to pass this thing. We want to get it signed by the 4th of July. And at that point, when they kind of called the bluff of the holdouts and said, look, this is the thing, it's time to vote, come vote for it. At that point, it was more or less set in stone because of how urgently and aggressively Donald Trump was whipping this thing.
So what was in it for a lot of these members? Because I know when we talked about the Senate vote, Lisa Murkowski, it was about these carve-outs for Alaska, these advantages that she would see that other states would not. I mean, do we have any idea what if the White House gave anything up, or was this a matter of twisting some wrists here?
Well, what's pretty remarkable is that, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in the House here, there was a lot of that the first time around. There was a lot of deal making and wheeling and dealing when they first passed the bill to send over to the Senate. But as far as the package that they got back, Johnson and Trump wanted it essentially just assented to. If they had made any additional changes, that would have pushed back the timetable, because then those changes would have needed to go back to the Senate for the Senate to approve, and you would have been in exactly the same situation as before. So we don't know whether there were any kind of like backroom sorts of promises about things going forward, but at least as far as legislative text is concerned, this is just an assent on the part of the House to the Senate bill. A lot of people, a lot of Republicans, again, in the House were pretty mad about that fact last night, but when push came to shove and Trump and Johnson put the screws on, everybody except 2 Republicans got in line.
All right, so we had the 2 no votes, as you mentioned. One of them was Thomas Massie. I think there really was no twisting arms with the Thomas Massie. I think we all knew all along that he was going to be a no on the final product.
Yeah, and this has gone back, all the way to the first time the House was considering this. Massie has definitely been the most prominent thorn in the side of all of this procedurally, to the point where Donald Trump has sort of started to see him as a nail to be hammered down. It remains to be seen whether Trump will follow through on his threats to get a primary challenger for Massie. It's not all that clear that would necessarily go well. Massie has a very strong kind of brand as this kind of cantankerous guy who holds legislation to a very high personal standard. His voters have seemed to like that up until now. But Donald Trump will need to decide whether he's going to follow through on those threats, or whether he is just going to take this win, be comfortable with the fact that he got essentially everybody else in line, even a lot of holdouts who were sounding a lot like Massie yesterday.
Okay, so we mentioned that Hakeem Jeffries speech, which broke the record set by Kevin McCarthy just a few years ago when they were trying to push some key Biden legislation, which the Democrats succeeded in that effort as well. I mean, what's the calculus in doing something like that? It gets a lot of clicks, it gets views, it gets Democrats excited. But in the end, was that sort of just a resignation to knowing that this was likely going to pass? They wanted to get their last word in?
Yeah, and I think it really speaks to how narrow the Democratic playbook is right now. I mean, when you are out of power and there's very few opportunities for you to peel members of the opposition party off, and Republicans, say what you will about all their infighting, they ended up holding tight together on this package. All that's really left for you to do is to stand up and kind of bang the podium, and that's what Jeffries did, and he tried to really bring it home, and it was sort of like a quantity argument, right? Like surely if this is the longest that anybody's ever spoken, well, we must really be up in arms about it, and people should maybe give it a look. You do get some more eyeballs and things with that kind of the historicity of that move. At the same time, it was sort of a weird spectacle as he was wrapping up to see kind of all of the other Democratic leadership around him sort of attaboying him and applauding him, saying, you did it, Hakeem. And then, you just go right into passing the bill they all hate, which they all say is going to be quite bad for America. So a bit of weird optics there. But yes, as you say, it's one of the only ways that they have at this point to really put a spotlight on their own opposition to the package.
So we have a president who's all about branding and all about optics, and tomorrow's the 4th of July. That was his deadline. He wanted to have some big ceremony at the White House. he's going to get what he wants, and in the end, Donald Trump wins, and Democrats have to take the loss again.
Yeah, that has been one of the strangest things watching this package get built is President Trump was always pretty transparently, his position on this package was get something on my desk. I trust Congress to hammer out what it is. I don't care all that much what's in it, although I do want a few of these legislative priorities, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. He continues to say no tax on Social Security is in the bill. It hasn't been for a couple of weeks, so that kind of maybe speaks to his level of concern with the actual legislative text. But he was clear about one thing. He wanted to be able to sign this thing on the 4th of July. That was his line in the sand, and he's going to get it.
Andrew Rigger from the Bulwark. We appreciate it, man. Have a great holiday.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate it.
And the Final Five is back after this.